What has your support system been like back home and sort of everything you're surrounding yourself with? Obviously, your team's under new management as well. But what has that been like for you trying to build up a support system to keep you in the right place and the right state of mind?
Yeah, support system. Well, I grab kind of support from wherever I can get it right now, right? Because I'm trying to build so much right now. Some of the people I'm working with for my health, because we're working on multiple levels, so the support, I'm guaranteed support, at least a couple days a week from people that are, dedicated there for me, and that's wonderful in itself to know that no matter what, I'm going to have some people there, sometimes like local people in the area, smashers or friends or otherwise, willing to help me out with a thing there or whatever, or at least happy to see me. That's always nice. New management has been nothing but supportive. I'm super glad that EG's been with me the whole way. I couldn't have done it without him. And I met my new manager, for the first time in person here, and he's made me worry so much less about the logistics. Oh, what about this? What about that? How am I going to carry this? And is that going to affect? No, he's been really great. He's been on top of it, and there's so many. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting, but there's just so much that I could be thanking. There's so many people and forces that I can be thanking, but it's all come. I feel like a lot of it is also coming together well. Like I feel like I'm feeling more support lately, which is partly why I'm here. But I'm just feel like I'm able to take it in better, because before I would almost refuse support more because it's like I don't deserve it or whatever. So so part of it is I'm willing to accept it now, and that's part of why more is coming in.
So it's you have recently given some health updates on your YouTube and also you're streaming more frequently, so you're kind of speaking about it more. But for those that haven't watched your content, what's the latest status here? Where you feel like you're at this point?
Right now, what it feels like to me right now is I mean, again, what I'm doing now, it was unimaginable to me a month ago. To come here and people to come up and then say, hey, I'm so happy to see you. I've been a fan forever. I'm a big fan. And for me to just not say, oh, that's great. Me to say, wow, that's awesome that you feel that way. And not to force it, but to feel it, to feel really what they're feeling and give that back to them. I just don't think I could have maintained that. I'm able to maintain that reasonably. Sometimes I have struggles, like I've rested for probably a couple hours today or something like that, and I did the same thing yesterday. But yesterday I hit a wonderful second win where I just went for hours and I was talking to people. Is that the same as competing? No, but you can't look at these steps along the way and say that there's not real progress being made. I used to not be able to feel like I could handle flights. Handled them fine. Used to not be able to feel like I could come in and have these conversations where I had to focus and I had to be present. I had to be ready for anything and be ready for my attention to switch, and I'm handling it. Sometimes I struggle more, but I'm knowing the limits and I don't just burn out like that. I have time to see it coming, and so there's it's so much greater now. And again, if things are moving a little bit faster now, then my hope is my sincere hope, and a big part of why I was convinced to even come in the first place, is me pushing in this way, me being in this environment, me feeling all this stuff is going to be like a springboard forward to feeling everything I need to feel again. And because this is not the new normal. This is not me coming and just hanging out. This is not the normal I want. This is not the normal anyone wants. It's to me being back, feeling everything I need to feel, and being around. So to kind of circle back, answer the question in what's going on right now. What's going on right now is best said as a process of what I feel is fairly rapid change.
That's great. That's really great. It sounds like absence makes the heart grow fonder in a sort of way that.
I mean, I love Melee so much. Like, I mean, classic Melee player stuff. Like, I feel like it's ruined every other game for me, and like I've dreamed about it, and the feeling of flow state, I've gotten through it, and it feels like a virtual martial art where I'm like overcoming myself through getting deeper into it, and knowing the more I know myself, the more I know other people, and vice versa. And so there's so much that the game has given me, and there's so much I want to give it, and the people in it, of course. Like, anyone that's willing to ride through like a lot of the struggles that the game can have, like whether it's technological, whether you're in Europe and you have to deal with the jet lag and how the scene's still developing there, or Japan with their separate issues, or there's just not a lot of money in the game anyway, and like I think it really takes something special for the game, and it takes something special in people to push despite that. And I want everything for the game and for the people, and I love it to death. And so yes, absence certainly makes the heart grow fonder, but I got to say it was pretty fun to start with.
That's a good way to put it. I think that's a good way to put it. So I wanted to ask you about this for a while. I believe I interviewed you at the tournament when I was with Esports, but you attended Battle of the Five Gods after taking a little bit of a break in between that as well. And it's the last time you've played in singles, and I'm sort of curious, like, what you took away from that, and how now looking at potentially competing in the future, what lessons you learned.
So that tournament was brutal. I've never had an experience like that in tournament. Like I've had a high fever and flu and stuff like that at a tournament before, and things were not nearly as bad as what I felt at Battle of the Five Gods in March 2016. That tournament was brutal because I won a couple sets, but mostly it was like loss after loss after loss after loss after loss, and it wasn't close. It wasn't like last game, it was like I barely ever took a game, if that. It was just I went out and it was brutal, and I kind of felt like that was going to happen at some point because things were declining for me, and I felt like it would not be a good idea to go and push through that. But I think in a way, the experience was important because I think a lot of people didn't really understand like how much I was struggling, and everyone after that event, they were like, "Oh, okay, we get it. Yeah. We get it now," because they hadn't really seen it in the game before, but it was pretty undeniable at that point. And I think the impression it left on me was it made me feel like I was a big part of what I've been so nervous about, and when something I try to tell people when they're like, "Oh, why don't you just try?" is I'm like, I really don't want a repeat of that tournament, because once I hit the point where I like shut down, it's a while to pick myself back up, and no amount of tournament organizer or like any good scheduling or anything else is going to save me from that. It's got to all be there, and I've got to be on, and that's just, you're a competitor. You need to have yourself right. That is just, I've always lived by that, and that's what I still want to live by. But that experience made me, I was certainly worried about how much I could, like, how do I know if I go, and even if I feel okay, could it happen again, right? It's something that I still don't fully process, don't fully think about, because I want to have all of my power again, so I don't even have to think about it. So I don't have to even I can just banish the event from my mind. I can say, okay, no matter what, that's never going to happen. But for sure, it's played a part, and it's been something that's probably helped me stay more withdrawn, because it's like, if I take any risks, that's going to happen again. I'm going to be out there, and there's going to be things I'm going to be, forced. Not really, but forced to do or feel compelled to do, and if I shut down, then I'm just going to feel so helpless, and no one wants to feel helpless. And some of it sure is a matter of perspective and things like that, but yeah, that feeling of weakness and everything was enormously scary to me, and it's been something I've talked about a little bit more in the past couple of months. But yeah, I'm really starting to make peace with that more, and I think that coming out in that way and that feeling I felt is something central to the recovery process as well, as I've learned more lately, and I've been making more peace with it, overcoming it, confronting it, however you'd like to say it, and and perhaps just as importantly, I've been building up my own strength now, the strength to say, okay, that was a different person. That might have been a person that was more susceptible to things like that then. But if you're challenged in a certain way, you have many more tools, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever, to overcome it. You're not going to let yourself get to that point. And so there's work to be done with that, but it's something that I'm feeling more and more capable every week that I can handle.